So it felt like a powder keg. But I tell you what's there, not just sparks, but there are glimmers. There were so many glimmers of kindness, generosity, compassion. I did a little micro fundraising to help cover extra costs that we had last week for feeding people. And I almost couldn't process those donations fast enough. So what does that say? That says that Spokane has a heart. Spokane is a philanthropic city, that good people are there. People want to help others. People have a heart. And so I see these glimmers all around that give me hope, and I hope it gives others hope as well.
Okay, everyone, welcome. It is another edition of Friday Conversations with Spokane Small Business Entrepreneurs. We welcome you from our studio at Dry Fly Distilling down here on Riverside in downtown Spokane. We're glad you're here today. I think we're going to have a great conversation. It is the season of giving and things, and we're going to talk about how to be open to all the demands and all the needs. And so we're looking forward to you having a conversation with us. And we are happy to have you join us live, either here in the room or online and Facebook. So, Dave, who do we have today?
I have no idea.
Yes.
How are you guys doing today? Everybody good?
They're good.
Okay. Hey, Zane, are you out there?
Yeah, we are. We're excited to be here as well for this wonderful
We got
Friday
Zane
conversation.
out there in the bigger room, and Zane, I want you to go around and introduce those folks right now.
All right. Well, we'll start here to my left. Mr. Todd, if you want to start us out, let us know who you are.
Sure. I'm Todd with Lump, LOMP, lots of moving parts. It's a software program for buyers to state what they want to buy that directly contacts the seller.
Jeff from the Hilliard neighborhood.
I'm Laura Johnson. I'm the Hilliard Community Assembly Rep for Hilliard. And I also wear many hats in the volunteering arena of Hilliard. I'm Cindy, and this is my second day with Mover as their business development and Mover manager. And Mover is a women-owned 16-year company in Spokane.
I'm Leonidas Biron. I'm currently trying Bitcoin day trading.
Hey everyone, my name is Steve Hicks, and if you're looking to build healthy habits that last a lifetime, there's nobody better. Check out thrivingbody.fit.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. And I'm Zane Schwendiman. I'm with ZebraGo, and we specialize in helping small businesses with their phone calls and business organization. So if you're feeling a little overwhelmed and would like some help, reach out to me. We've got some pretty awesome people at our table. Back to you, Dave.
Okay, thanks so much. I'm going to go to my left. Just introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, what you do, and what we're doing here with you today. We're glad you're here.
Hey there, I'm Debbie Ramirez. I work with Champion Empire, where we help business owners who are stressed out, overwhelmed, and stuck, trying to figure out which direction to go, pairing them with a personalized plan and a deep bench of experts to help them walk it out and live the life that they're created for. And I'm excited to be here with all these amazing people today.
Fantastic, Chris.
All right. I'm Coach Bo, Chris Bo, your resiliency coach of the area, and I specialize in struggles. Everybody struggles, but specifically the ones that kind of hold you back, the ones that cause you to go through burnout, the ones that cause you to not be able to move forward in life just because you don't know what's going on. So we walk you through it, we take you through that process and get you back operating the way you should be. So thanks.
Excellent. Welcome.
Jonathan.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I'm Jonathan Biron, local realtor. I have two clients right now that are navigating inspections. And so one is a buyer that is getting their inspection done. It just happened this morning, and we have to figure out what are our concerns. Do we still want to buy the house? That kind of thing. The other one is a seller, and we just got our buyer's inspection response, what they want from us. And I'm here, so I haven't looked at it yet. So we'll find out later today what exactly we're going to do about that. But my role in real estate is helping you navigate all of the nuance, all of the challenges of real estate. I love doing it. I love connecting with people on a personal level and helping you navigate that. So
Fantastic. Well, the guest of honor, we're going to skip over her just for a moment because we're going to come back to you, Jonathan, so you can introduce her.
yes, perfect.
So let's move on here.
Great. Hi, I'm Heather. I'm from Wildly Local. This is Joss. We are at the very beginning stages of starting our multi-generational women's group to connect with everything that Spokane has to offer from other businesses and social events to get us out there and be active with other women in our community.
Okay,
Thank you.
Oh, well, and I'm Joss, partnering with Heather on Wildly Local, so.
it's a pretty exciting concept, isn't
Yeah.
it? That you're working with a lot of women from different backgrounds and different circumstances, and you're pulling them together and bringing them together. That's my understanding.
Yes, yeah.
So good that you're here today and you can tell folks about that. Hey, Nolan?
Thank you, Dave. Hey guys, I'm Nolan. I work with Pay Compass, and what I do is I work with business owners, and we help them keep more of what they earn. We do that through streamlining payments and integrative processes on the software side that just makes things communicate better so they can focus on leading their business.
Fantastic, Robbie.
Yeah, so hi everyone, I'm with IDIC Designs, and we're a business technology strategy coach system, and I am always interested in learning about business processes and how you can optimize them with better technology choices.
Fantastic. I'm Dave Ribble from Standout Mastery. When you are ready to step it up on your communication, connection, and collaboration skills, that's my lane. That's the stuff I love to help people with. So I'd love to talk to you about that. Jonathan Biron, you got somebody down there we want to meet.
Yes, sir, we do. Before we jump into that, though, I want to take a minute, and I say this, feel like I say this almost every week. Everybody that just shared, like, I wish we could spend 5 more minutes, like, going into depth. A couple of things I do want to highlight. One is, Rob didn't mention this, but IDIC Designs and Dryfly have partnered to bring us free lunch every week. So you had some lunch today. Thank you, IDIC Designs.
Thank you.
And Dryfly, we are in Dryfly's facility downtown. I mean, the heart of downtown. It doesn't get more downtown than this. Amazing facility. I've talked to a few of you that have never been here before, and this is like, it's just such a great spot. So if you've not been to Dryfly, check them out any day of the week, but come visit us on Fridays. We're here every Friday from noon until 2, and then we hang out after until people decide to go home. So lots of great deals to be had at Dryfly. Come and check that out. And I've literally, like, I want to talk about Dave and how you bring up people together. Heather and Jaws, what you guys are doing is, it's a big aspect of what we're talking about today. Zane, you're had so many people out there that talked about what they're doing that I want to bring into this. And one of the challenges that we're dealing with our Friday conversations is a technological one. So the table that Zane is hosting, the table here, we want it to feel like one conversation. So as you guys chime in, just unmute, chime in, jump in. We're going to keep things going and interesting. Something that I want to kind of frame this conversation before I introduce Susan is this line from a song, and the line itself I don't think was ever intended the way I'm going to use it, but it's how I feel. And the line is living in a powder keg and giving off sparks. And it's total eclipse of the heart for those of you that aren't familiar with it. But I feel like right now in our current vernacular, we're living in a powder keg. Like everything is just primed to explode in lots of good ways and lots of potentially destructive ways. And we're just like sparkles. Like we're just giving off sparks, just waiting for something to happen. So this conversation is probably one of the more important ones in terms of when we digest social media, when we are going about our day and we hear and feel things that attach themselves to us, which is an interesting language that somebody used to me today that I was like, oh, I need to work on that a little bit. Yeah. But particularly with generosity. And I know many of the people in this room, I know your generous spirit. And I know there's people on Facebook that are watching this. I don't know you personally because I don't know who I'm talking to, but that there's a lot of folks that have a very generous spirit that do give of themselves. And it's very easy to feel like what I have to offer isn't enough. And so Susan, when you and I first talked, and it was one of those conversations, any of you that have ever had this happen, complete stranger, phone call, not even in person, and there was just an instant connection of like, yeah, this is real. And one of the things we talked about is you can only give so much. You only have so much money, so much resource, so much time, and it's very easy to feel like what you have to give is not enough. And so I wanted to kind of start by Spokane Helpers Network.
Yeah, I'd like to just hear a little bit more about what Susan does.
Yeah. Dave, you take it away. Ask us some questions.
Tell us about you.
Hi, I'm Susan McDonald Osborn. I'm the volunteer, means it's no salary, executive director of Spokane Helpers Network. We feed Spokane. If you don't take anything else away from today's conversation, it's when you encounter people who are hungry, think we feed Spokane, Spokane Helpers Network. We want to help them. So our mission is twofold, really. It's to guide struggling people to resources. And we're very fortunate to live in a city where there are food banks and counseling and domestic violence assistance, and it goes on and on. There are lots of resources, but sometimes, especially when you're in crisis, or maybe you don't have great research skills, or you don't have time, it's hard to navigate your way through where do I go for what kind of help. So that's half of what we do. The other half is that we feed people who are experiencing temporary financial crisis. So while we're not in the position to help people month after month, year after year, we're there for emergency food delivery. So I have been asking for about 5 years now, is there anybody else in Spokane that delivers free food directly to the doorstep of hungry people in Spokane County? And I have not ever found another organization. So I think we're filling a niche in the food security network that needs to be filled.
Would you say you're a clearinghouse?
I would say we're a clearinghouse. We use Facebook. We have a Facebook group of people who live paycheck to paycheck. And every day I see, just browsing Facebook or browsing Nextdoor or browsing the paper, things that are free in Spokane. Free family activities are a favorite of mine to post because I think that every child should have a wonderful childhood experience regardless of how much money is in the household. So free events, free diapers, free food, free clothes, free eyeglasses, free legal help. I mean, it just goes on and on what's available in Spokane. So folks can join that group. It's called Help Yourself on Facebook, and it pretends, for my IT folks here, it pretends to be a little searchable database. So if you need diapers today, you can search on diapers. Or if you're hungry today, you can see what food banks are open today, what food pop-ups are around. So that's the sort of navigate, point people, resource center kind of piece of what we do.
Really interesting. I was picturing, I mean, we have some IT geniuses around today, and I was just wondering in my own mind, I could see people adopting on their site some little blurb down at the bottom that says, I support your organization.
Wouldn't that be a dream come true?
I just wonder if we could get people to do that.
Yeah.
What do you think, John?
I like it. Yeah.
Believe me, I won't leave today without talking about partnerships with other businesses.
Perfect. Yes. And that's a big part of what we want to do here. So as you guys are listening and tuning in, whether you're on Facebook or here in the room, either one of the rooms, this is where we want you to be making connections with the people that are going to be able to help you work together to elevate everything that we do. So you tech people, I'd like to consider myself a tech person, but
yeah,
my capabilities are limited for sure.
And I'd like to put a little spin on the powder keg metaphor. I feel the powder keg. Last week, for the people in Spokane, in Washington State, all over our country, who are trying to feed people, the increase in service was tremendous. We had a 100% increase ourselves as a little small and mighty nonprofit. So it felt like a powder keg. But I tell you what's there, not just sparks, but there are glimmers. There were so many glimmers of kindness, generosity, compassion. I did a little micro fundraising to help cover extra costs that we had last week for feeding people. And I almost couldn't process those donations fast enough. So what does that say? That says that Spokane has a heart. Spokane is a philanthropic city, that good people are there. People want to help others. People have a heart. And so I see these glimmers all around that give me hope,
Yeah.
and I hope it gives others hope as well.
Love it. Love it. So you and I could talk for this whole hour, just a conversation between us, and Dave would chime in occasionally, but we really want to hear from everybody here. That's the point of this round table, is like, what things are sparking for you guys? And yes, I'm still using that spark context, but and I'm seeing lots of aha moments in eyeballs. So I know that like there's ideas that are popping, but Zane, maybe we start out there with you guys. What's popping out there?
We were talking, some of the things we were talking about was what Susan said resonated with us, is that that's what makes us a community. And that's what community should be, lifting everyone up. No questions asked. Even I don't know what your story is. It's not my business. I just want to help you if I can help you. And that's what communities should be doing. So that's what we feel like when we hear things like that. We feel like that's community. That's what community means to us.
I like it. I like it.
Love it. Love it.
Go ahead, Debbie.
Question, and I love to hear, I love what you're doing. And just hearing, I've known about you for a while, and just hearing what you're actually doing in our community, especially right now, is so huge. Knowing about you as a resource. When it comes to nonprofit communities, social services, can you share a little bit about who you tend to partner with? Other organizations, other social services, other nonprofits?
Sure.
You know, who do you work alongside, and where do each of you fall?
Yeah. Second Harvest comes to mind first, right? Second Harvest, I think you all know, supplies food banks throughout Spokane. They have mobile markets that they take to areas of greatest need. So they are sort of the big daddy of food distribution, and all of us rely on them. I think the next tier down is food banks. And some of our volunteers go to food banks, pick up food boxes, and deliver those directly to the homes of people for whom it's difficult to get to food banks. When I started doing this, I didn't know much about Spokane. I didn't know much about food insecurity. I just had some skills from my professional life, and I had some time, just retired, and I had some passion around people being fed. So it's been a wonderful journey of developing relationships and partnerships. One of the things that we do is also provide hygiene items. So we have a partnership with Project Beauty Share. Women Helping Women Fund did a hygiene drive for us and brought in huge amounts. And then there are the smaller things, like Cheney High School's culinary program is delivering 200 cookies to us on Monday morning. There's a bakery called Rise that is delivering a couple hundred loaves of bread on Monday. So there's all these points of connection, but the common thread is that people don't have a tolerance for seeing other people hungry, especially children. I don't know if you know this statistic, but 1 in 5 Spokane kids goes to bed hungry, experiences hunger on a regular basis. That's 22,000 children in Spokane that, despite getting free breakfast, free lunch, often snacks at school, they go home and there isn't food in the refrigerator or the cupboards. And I always say that is not okay. We cannot have caring hearts, generous spirits. We need to act on that. You know, we need to be moved by that number and say the minimum that people deserve is food, safe shelter. You can't go to the workplace hungry. You can't go to the workplace with your hygiene not what it should be, and do well throughout the day at work. You certainly, as a child, can't learn well, can't sit still, can't feel good during the school day, and have that educational experience that you should. And then for kids whose clothes are dirty, whose clothes are smelly, who themselves are unkempt, that leads to bullying. And then that's a whole downward spiral. So for us, it's this intolerance for the suffering of others. And, we have the power. We have lots of money in America. We have lots of fantastic people with passion, with volunteer time. I always say sometimes you have more time than money, and sometimes you have more money than time. So whichever season of life you're in, either, give your time or give your money. And some people are fortunate to do both, but take some kind of action. I don't want to see that number 22,000 kids year after year after year in Spokane. And I know you don't either.
No.
One quick one is that go back to the schools for a moment. Isn't it also true that some of the nutrition programs have been cut for kids that are going to go to school and eat there?
I think that story changes so frequently that if I gave an answer today, it might not even be the right answer.
Okay.
Chris?
Yeah, kind of lost my train of thought a little bit, but so where my mind goes, I go a little bit deeper on the aspects of, okay, we have this problem. Like there's kids going to bed hungry, right? And we can get the exposure out there and let people know, but what's the struggles currently of getting the word out more? Does that make sense? Like to make this a bigger issue for people to really grasp onto, like, we gotta do something about this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. I feel like, through social media, I'm seeing every food bank, big and small, from the community colleges food bank to Cleone's Closet out in Airway Heights to Spokane Helpers Network. I see a lot of, hey, we need a food drive. Hey, please stop and bring food donations to us. So I think the word is out there. But what was interesting, we were talking about before we started, is if you don't know, you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not tuned in to the Food Security Network in Spokane, and you haven't followed certain Facebook groups or Instagram, feeds, maybe you're not seeing those things, which is why I really appreciate this invitation to come here today and to speak.
And I think that's a great thing to explore, is what Dave was talking about, getting business owners or other people to kind of promote with a icon or something. Yeah.
And I think maybe there's hesitation because people think you have to do something big. You have to start a nonprofit or whatever, set up a little free pantry out in front of your house. You don't. Little organizations, and a lot of us are pretty small. A small monthly donation times 1,000 people buys a lot of food. So I hope that, that feeling of it's never enough. I can't give enough. I can't do enough. Let me hold that for you, because that's the space that I live in all the time. But a lot of people doing a little bit is going to make a difference. So I think, don't hesitate, take action, do something.
Susan, I love that so much. I love your statement. Let me hold that for you. Yes, I think, we've worked with nonprofits to put on a nonprofits accelerator with Rick Peck, who's known as the philanthropy guy. And one thing that I just remember hearing that from person after person that stood out to them was when it comes to a donation, people will call and say, we have a donation. He talked about this example of a nonprofit that received a call, just whoever answered the phone, right, is always the challenge. And the person was like, we have this giant parcel of land that we'd like to donate. How do we do that? And they're like, oh, I don't think we can take land.
Oh,
bam. And it's like, yes, we can take that. Hang on.
Yeah,
right.
I'll call Jonathan and we'll figure it out.
But I love that because, I think just that same principle applies. And I love you opening that door, Susan, just a conversation of like, I don't know if this would even help, but, and let you be the expert on going, yes, that would help, or maybe that wouldn't help, but let me work with you on what would, that's within your means, within your budget. And I think a great question for, maybe some of the small businesses here who are very small, just putting on the advisor hat is, tax write-offs and things like that. And we don't love to think along those lines. We love to just be like, no, I should just be so altruistic. It's like, well, you also have to keep your business afloat. And if there's a way to kind of almost subsidize that in a way that actually puts food onto people's doorsteps and into those kids' cupboards, that could be a game changer.
So let's talk about businesses, because I know personally, as the executive director, I could do more. I could do better. I could engage the business community more effectively. But what stops businesses from responding to, hey, can you help us? Can you put on a food drive? Can you make meal kits? Can you donate? What do you think the hesitancy is? Is it?
So can I speak a little bit, because I was gonna piggyback on what Debbie was talking about a little bit more, because I think it gets at the issue of what is it I can do? And so many small businesses are gonna look at it as, well, I'm living on a razor's edge with a budget. But I wanna flip this around, because one of my roles, I wear many hats, and one of the things is I'm the professor at Gonzaga for digital marketing. And one of the lessons I'm always teaching my students is that any campaign begins by figuring out where your target market lives. Where do they show up? Where are they at? And I think this is something that we could turn that question around. Instead of saying, what is it that a small business owner can do directly, but who do they serve? That might be somebody who could play a role. And if you could be out there in a way of saying, we're not asking you to do something other than you're a target, you're where people show up, or you communicate with people. And so if there is that message that's just casual, because one thing I can say for sure, people will respond if all the conditions are right and it's a problem they want to solve, and they have a desire or need to do it. And so if the question were more of, where are you at, and where, what's your community, or what's your neighborhood that you can reach?
And that was a question I was going to pose, or maybe a piece of where do you begin, especially for new entrepreneurs, is where does your passion lie? So I work, kids, I'm a grandmother, mother. I don't want children to be hungry. That sparks something in me. If you ask me to donate to, save the whales, it doesn't resonate with me. For example, I love whales, nothing against whales. But I think that's part of it too, is what are you really passionate about? What sits on your heart and keeps you awake at night? And it's different for everybody. And that's the good thing, that it's different for everybody, right? There's so many ways to give and places to give that it feels like, oh my gosh, the world is just this powder keg and everybody needs help. And I have limited resources, time, energy, finances. How do I pick? How do I decide where I want to give my time, talents, and resources? And I think it has to come from passion, and whether that passion comes from a past experience, and I'm guessing that might be a big piece of it, right?
I think you're touching on something good there, the passion part, but I think along with passion is you gotta think impact. Because I believe when somebody thinks that they can make an impact, then that passion gets sparked, right? But then you're left with, okay, well, how do you present that to somebody for an impact? Well, you go to what they think is important. So say you go to a big business owner that he loves the fact that the community comes together and is getting stronger. We can say, hey, well, you know what, we have this problem, and so our next generation is going to start being affected by this, and our community is going to suffer. Oh, our community is going to suffer. I don't want that. So there's ways, I think, you can go about it, but yeah, passion and impact, I think, play a big part.
And good storytelling, having the ability to really, not in a manipulative way, but to really formulate your story and convey your story in a way that, people can't walk away not wanting to do something.
I think that when Joss and I were talking about our original idea of building a community group was so that you have a collection of women in our, or anyone that gets together to where they can partner with somebody that is filled with so much passion that you you would have a already set network of people that are getting together, whether socially, which for some people is easier to do, you know, a little bit selfishly doing something fun while being with their friends, making a big impact on their community. It's, you know, a way to grab your large network of people and using what you are showing so much passion for, that inspiring other people to come join you.
Zane, I want to come your direction if you guys are ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks like
we were just talking kind of along those same lines of the importance of seeing kind of the results, and not that you want to be showcased or like, oh, look at all the good that we've done, but just kind of knowing that any effort or donation or whatever you're doing is being valued. And Todd was kind of leading that part of the discussion here.
So we have a core understanding and content that we're speaking of, starting with community. And out here on our table, we were speaking about community and how we embrace it in terms of a nursery or a garden. And along with that, when you have something that reaches and touches the community, it's important that you share the wins, that you demonstrate or that you display the wins of the people in the community that are winning from this, that are benefiting from this. And what starts out as a seed will grow into a beautiful community.
Nice. I was wondering if I could talk to the two women that were talking about starting this big group. I know a woman named Linda Jinks who started a group for ladies, and it was called Ladies Only, over 40 ladies only, and she put together 600 women through the community. And then she kind of broke it off into something called Day of the Diva, but we would get together and we would do events, or we would get together and let's say at Christmas time and raise money for families and stuff like that. But I could get them in a hold of her because she really knew how to network and got a bunch of ladies together throughout the community.
Yeah, that sounds like a great contact. We should talk more about that.
And I think there's a piece right there that I really like about this aspect of the conversation, is that there is a technology component to this, like a Facebook group that brings people together, a web directory, AI, whatever, like, you know, there's definitely ways to get the word out, to create platforms. I think that what we are discovering as a society is that nothing quite beats getting people in a room together and saying, what are you doing here? Why are you here today? Oh, wait, what? You're already doing, and I think to your point earlier, you know, I'll be driving down the road and I'll see somebody that's clearly hungry or unhoused or just having a rough day. And my compassion, my personal generosity wants to do something. And my brain, creative mind, starts spinning up this whole like thing. And then I find out, oh, Spokane Helpers already exists. Oh, Catholic Charities is already doing this. Oh, like there's all these resources. And I've seen, and to the point of like, a lot of times we don't even know what's out there. I've seen a lot on Facebook lately where people are like, I saw this, I want to help. What's out there, and like comments of like, send them to this, send them to that. There's actually a lot of different things out there. And another thing that just keeps coming back to me, there's a TikTok trend right now. There's a gal that is on TikTok. She's calling churches specifically, and like, you know, not just Christian churches, like any church type organization. And she's got a piped in sound of a baby crying. And she's calling the church, like the trunk line, to, you know, like, hey, we have land to donate, but the other direction. She's calling and saying, I need to feed my baby now. And apparently the vast majority of these churches are offering resources. Oh, try Second Harvest, try this, like, because the church itself, this particular church, and it's probably a volunteer answering, they don't, like, I don't have baby formula sitting behind the desk that I can drive out to where you're at. And so it's TikTok, it's culture, is, you know, reacts type stuff, but it's driven a lot of conversation in my feed about, should churches step up and do this? Should they go out and buy baby formula and deliver, like what, and I think a big question that has to come into play, business owners and nonprofits and individuals alike, is finding the matrix, the point where my capability and what that produces line up really well. If you call me as a business owner and say, hey, do you have 10 minutes to talk about helping the hungry in our city? I'm like, but if you call me and say, hey, I have this program that I've put together for real estate agents, that every real estate agent that has signed on to this has helped feed hungry people, had a positive impact on their, like, you just make it turnkey for me, where I'm like, okay, I'm interested. All I need from you is 5 minutes of your time and $100. Yeah.
Like, we give you the sticker.
And then, we'll give you the sticker. So I think that's, it's like, and that gets to what Rob, I think, was talking about, is like figuring out, like, for Dave Ribble, for Debbie Ramirez, for Heather, for Chris, like, what's something that I can do that is like, like I could do that 10 times over, and all you want is one of them, and you're telling me I'm gonna have this huge impact. Like, it's a no-brainer. Like, done. Like, where do I, send me, and that's another thing, right? Like, don't ask me to write a check. I don't even know how to write a check. I'm sure I have checks somewhere, but I'd have to dig them out. I'd have to like remember how to use my pen and paper. Like, but if you send me a link with a little, like, fill in my credit, my phone automatically fills in my credit card number. Like, it's almost easy to take money from me if you send me one of those things. I just like, oops, I accidentally paid money. So some of that comes into play, I think, for sure.
Make it easy for people to act, to help, and to donate. Nolan said something before we began the conversation formally about relationships, that it all boils down to relationships. And we've used the word community, but I think we should bring up the word relationships too, because I won't ever be the same after meeting each of you all today, and it was wonderful to come in here and see familiar faces today. And I think the more that we can build those relationships, which, by the way, takes a lot of time. It's a lot faster to just throw something up on Facebook than it is to sit down and have a cup of coffee with someone. But we all know, especially our coaches here, I think you have to be eyeball to eyeball with people at least once. And then maybe you can work by phone, email, Zoom, whatever, subsequently. But building relationships in business, I mean, that's not news. Can I pivot just a little bit?
Of course, yeah.
So I think we've kind of been talking about ourselves as individuals almost, and what drives us to do certain things and to give to certain organizations. But I wonder about businesses and whether businesses are aware of the business benefits of philanthropy. So when you look at organizations that empower their employees, for example, I saw 3 people yesterday. They were so jazzed. They had put meal kits together and they were filling the little free pantry at the Y. And you could just feel their happy hormones. And that employer was paying them to take time off of work to do volunteer work. I'm going to give a little plug to Integris Architecture, that's a supporter of Spokane Helpers Network. And because our United Way has closed down, they selected Spokane Helpers Network as their charity for the end of this year all through next year. And it is significant. So it's employee contributions, and Integris is matching that. What was the point of that? Started talking about
the business.
To benefits to businesses. So we know that customers are even willing to pay a little bit more to a company if they know that you are known for community engagement, philanthropy, charity. Lower employee turnover, higher employee engagement. These are business reasons to give and to be known in the community as a company who gives. Business reasons that directly benefit corporations, companies, small businesses. I think it's, when you started as a small business, put in your business plan. What are we passionate about? What are our core values? And how do those core values align with nonprofit XYZ? And latch yourself onto a nonprofit. We would welcome these corporate partnerships where, your logo's on the back of our shirt. And personally, and I think other nonprofits as well, very good about saying thank you.
Yeah.
We had a nice donation from WellPoint, and I posted it to, 30 Facebook groups and Instagram today. So it's a two-way, but we want to help the business community to be seen as philanthropic as well. And if you're going to do business, you may as well do it with the plumber, Ace Plumbing, located on the South Hill in Spokane, Washington. If you're going to use a plumber, why not use a plumber that cares about people and gives to the community?
Susan, I think, to that point, what you're really talking about is you're talking about the partnerships between nonprofits and businesses that cause the community to thrive. And when we think about, what causes a community to thrive, we think nonprofit, and that is essential. Like, we are so grateful you're doing that. And also there's this part where we oftentimes will shuttle it off onto great, I'm so glad you can do that and I'll get back to work, and I think there's really this part where what I love that you're saying is just that's such a key example of community working together well, is you as the nonprofit saying, but it's also the small businesses that help the community to thrive. When it comes down to the economy and what causes the economy to thrive, it's not the giant corporations. If some of the giant ones, and I won't name them, but the ones that we know very well that are maybe out in Airway Heights, et cetera, we'd lose a lot of jobs and we'd have a sudden dip and then everyone would bounce back, right? But when it comes down to the economy, it's really the small businesses that cause it to rise or fall. And then the community services organizations that partner to catch people when they're falling on hard times or maybe, going through some socioeconomic challenges. But with that, with that in mind, Susan, I'd love to hear, you mentioned a couple of examples of businesses that have partnered with you in some ways that were really meaningful. If you've got, and I know I'm totally putting you on the spot, but if you've got a couple more that come to mind, ways that businesses have partnered with you, either their ideas or yours, and then what would be ideal that you could share?
There is a couple, Damian Barton and Tiffany Barton. They own a landscaping company, which he does the day-to-day, and she owns a coffee shop on the South Hill. Very community-minded, both of them. And, we didn't go to them and say, will you, give us 25% of your sales for the month of November? They said, we're happy to do a food drive for you. They're opening a new shop called Coffee Chaos on 29th. That'll be open on the 17th of November. Maple Street Bistro just did a protein drive for us, and that was really helpful because protein's the most expensive, thing for us to purchase. I don't want to forget anybody. The Goats baseball team did a big drive for us. They're out in Liberty Lake. I'm going to forget one. Oh, we have churches, Hamblin Presbyterian, St. Stephen's. And, is it enough food collectively to meet our entire mission? No, but we now have long-term relationships, and often they start with come and volunteer with us. Once you see what it's like to get your hands on making hygiene kits, making meal kits, and you see how we operate, I think, we've kind of hooked you. You kind of catch the passion.
Yeah.
And those have turned into long-term relationships. So
thanks for sharing that. That is so cool. And what I love with that is that you've got both sides. You've got, a small business that may not be able to donate tons of resources financially, but could put on a drive. That's some time donation and pulling together their network. And I think that's something that, to your point, Jonathan, we are really good at, is that creating the relationships, in the community and connecting each other with people and all of that. And that's a gift. And then on the other side is the larger organization that is at a point that they can match employee donations or, volunteer employee hours.
And I think it would be wrong not to say, okay, wait, take this up a level. What are we trying to do? We're advocating for people who are hungry. So every time a business or a church does a food drive, they hear me or our documentation, 1 in 5 kids is hungry. 1 in 7 Spokane households experiences hunger on a regular basis. So 40%, I don't know if you know this number, but 40% of the households in Spokane are ALICE, which is asset limited, income constrained, and employed. So we have a lot of working poor that maybe they get SNAP food assistance and maybe other assistance, but it's not enough to last an entire month. And you were asking Dave about reduced the SNAP program. You know, people got a little bit used to it being high dollars during COVID, and now it almost doesn't make a dent for many people.
So as we get close to the top of the hour, we like to highlight the people that have been really quiet and contemplative, because a lot of times you have something that's kind of sparking, but you're too polite to interrupt the flow, and some of us are just better at jumping right in. And Zane, I'm going to jump out to you also, because I know there's a few people out there at your table that we haven't heard from yet. We've got about 10-15 minutes left. What are you guys scheming up out there?
Yeah, I'd actually like to, well, one point we just had brought up, which is we're in the holiday season, so everyone's feeling the charitable mood right now. Let's keep it going come January 1st and afterwards too. But also Leonidas had his awesome youth words for us.
So one thing that we were touching up on out here is, in order for people to find, and I'll put it into business terms, in order for people to find your business, you have to make the barrier of entry very low, at least at the very beginning. Because if people are trying to find your business and they don't even know that it exists. So if they find it and they don't meet the requirements, it will be very hard for it to spread. So you have to be able to let people join your business and then start putting up the parameters and the barriers so that so you almost filter them out a little bit more.
Yeah, I think too, inviting the youth, you know, if your organization is able to have youth come and volunteer or help out, you know, list your ages on there. A lot of these, I think there's a lot of youth that would be more than willing to participate and help out where they can.
Yeah.
As long as they're old enough.
We've had volunteers as young as 2 years old. I mean, they take a can of spaghetti sauce and put it in a bag. They're perfectly capable. I really do want to welcome everyone who's listening and everyone who's sitting around the table here and out in the ante room. Spokane Helpers Network has been running out of my home for 5 years. My basement has wall-to-wall food in it, a guest room downstairs. I hate to admit this, but even the guest bath downstairs is filled with food. The living room is filled with food. We got food yesterday from food drives, and my husband's like, Susan, where do we put this? I said, you know that green guest bathroom down the hall, guest bedroom down the hall? Just put them in the green guest room. I'm telling you that because we could not be more excited that we are moving to a real brick and mortar warehouse kind of environment in 2 weeks.
Excellent. Wonderful.
So what that will do is it'll eliminate steps. So again, shout out to my husband, who is our chief schlepping officer.
CSO.
This is Paul, our CSO. We are moving to the Women Helping Women Fund building at Nevada and Empire. That's in the Nevada Heights area.
Awesome.
So no more steps, no more carrying cases and cases of things downstairs. We make meal kits downstairs, and then those all have to be carried back up the stairs and then distributed. And it's, no stairs is one of the great things, but I think what I'm most excited, and just the space to have all the food organized in one location, but is that we'll be able to invite the community in. Baseball teams, Girl Scouts, businesses, football team. We're going to be right by Gonzaga Prep. And I think that will really kind of set us on fire because more people will know about Spokane Helpers Network. More importantly, they'll know about hunger in Spokane, that it's alive and real. And so we are incredibly excited.
That's awesome. I do want to highlight, and Chris, thanks for pointing this out. Sheila Fritz is online. Sheila, welcome. Glad to see you in the Facebook feed, and she said that she's going to offer free branding and headshots for Spokane Helpers Network.
He has done free headshots. If you go out to our website, at least a few of them are Sheila Fritz's work. She has such a willingness to help.
We love Sheila.
Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. Stephen Hicks, I haven't heard from you yet today. And Zane, I can't see everybody at your table, but we have a few more to weigh in before we finish up here.
Not much this way in. I think everyone pretty much hit their points well. One thing that I do want to mention that we can contribute as businesses is, sometimes, like Rob had mentioned, sometimes you're running on a razor sharp or razor thin budget. But I know in the past I've done like fitness charity or fitness challenges for charity. There's ways you can get creative within your organization to leverage your skills, leverage your efforts. And essentially it cost me no money, but I know when my last fitness challenge for charity, we raised $1,000 for Elevations at Children's charity at Children's Foundation. And I didn't need to open my pocket. I did actually. I think we raised like $850 and I bridged the gap because I wanted the cool 4-digit number.
Yeah.
But it doesn't require you to open your pockets, just open your arms sometimes.
And I don't think any business has to be ashamed of that win-win. No, you're in business for making a profit. We're in business for not, that's not our primary goal, is to make a profit. But when you work together, it gives exposure to your company. It helps us meet our operational needs. If it's fun, something like that for the community, that's another, level of benefit. So,
Stephen, I actually really like that idea. Like I'll be a little bit transparent and vulnerable. Every time you ever talk about fitness, I'm like, nah, I don't need it. I'm fine. But like that idea has me like, oh yeah, like if you put together a challenge where I knew that like my input into the challenge, like a walkathon or something, like if I walk 5 miles, like I raise that much more money for like, that's the kind of competitive thing that makes me want to like jump in. So we might be onto something there. I like that idea.
I kind of want to throw in really quick, the youth thing, because even Sheila brought it up too.
Yeah.
I think that's a super important avenue to explore, just because youth are in a transition in their life, and I'm talking like teenage years and older. They're in a transition period in their life where they're trying to find purpose. And so when something like that comes along, they attach to that.
Yeah.
But not only that, but they're not far from that younger age. So if they were affected by it, they still have more connection to that. And I think that'd be a good avenue to really explore is the youth, getting them involved for sure.
I agree 100%.
And echoing and kind of even adding to that, one of the things that my wife and I are talking about, because we have a high schooler, a middle schooler, and an elementary school student, and it's vicious. I mean, it was vicious when we were young. It's still vicious. Like kids are just mean to each other. And I don't know if girls, guys, I'm not even going to get into that, but just like middle school particularly is just a rough season. And what I've seen, having worked with youth most of my life, is that when young people see the impact, whether it's like how meaningful food is to somebody, or seeing like, wow, when I lifted someone else up, I felt different. I could see that when you start to like have those experiences, it's like putting a little drop of light or good into a space that's, it's just, talk about a powder keg. Middle school is it's a powder. It's like everybody's trying to figure out who they are and how they fit into the thing.
Yeah.
And when you have somebody come in that just spent the weekend feeding other people or doing something, giving up their time to do something good, it changes a dynamic that I don't think we can measure that, but storytelling certainly helps with that for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, we got time for like maybe one more comment.
I'd like to say
Nolan, go ahead.
I was really resonating on this. I wasn't sure if I wanted to share it, but you were talking about, the win-to-win ratio with businesses and just being that connector of gathering the community together. And I would like to help you with that. I talk to businesses every day for a living. And so Whatever I can do to help, I would love to offer my services for you. And in accordance, if we can work together, so you would get donations from businesses all the time, right? If you can get me connected with those businesses, then we can do some type of partnership. I'd like to offer 20 to 30% back to your guys' foundation from those proceeds.
Thank you, Thomas.
Yeah.
Thank you. Stefan.
Good thinking, Nolan.
Very good. That's what it's about. It's about relationships.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, working together. Sure.
I had never heard anybody really explain that companies can put into their business plan something that's gonna go, and I saw employees getting behind that, going, this is where I wanna work.
Yeah.
Totally.
So the people that are leaving, seems to me it would be reduced.
I think it's especially true for people now in their 20s, 30s, 40s. People want to work somewhere, not just to make a dollar, but they want to work for a company that's making a difference in the world, to the environment, to the big issues. More so, I think, than my generation was aware of. It's like, if I'm going to spend my time 40 hours a week away from home and working, I want to work for a company whose values match my own.
Well, I love the idea that the employee, for example, may not be able to afford on their own money that they make, but they're part of something that can. And so that's the way they can get involved in it without it taking money away from them or taking food off their table.
Maybe if you have a slow time of year, you can say, this is the day I'm going to pay for my employees to go volunteer. Doesn't matter who you volunteer with, I'm not here just to promote Spokane Helpers Network, but that's www.spokanehelpers.com. Push the volunteer.
That's right.
So maybe you do something like that during slow periods of time. I bet if we spent another hour or so enjoying Dry Fly's beverage, we could think of hundreds of ideas like that.
Yes, which is actually a great segue. We're going to wrap up. I do want to thank again Dry Fly, and yes, if you need some creative time, nothing like the spirits to get the spirit flowing. We love Dry Fly. They're a stable in this community. They're very eager to be community connected. That's why they're hosting us here, and they want us to. They're letting us use this space for free and partnering with us on lunch. Really great food.
Using it. Let's use it.
So Dry Fly, we want to thank them. Idic Designs, thank you for partnering to bring food for us for our food. Yeah, we didn't come as hungry as some people, but we did enjoy the food here. So yeah, thank you for that, Rob. And man, I just thank you everybody that's here in this room, everybody out there, Zane, at your table. This is a great conversation. Spokane Helpers Network. Go give them a follow. Get involved in their Facebook, because at the very least, being aware and spreading that awareness is a huge help, and lots of ways to get involved. Am I missing anything? We will be here again next week. We have decided officially we're going to take the day after Thanksgiving off and the day after Christmas off. So we won't be here on those 2 Fridays, but otherwise we are here at Dry Fly every Friday. Would love to have any of you, any and all, tune in or be here, be part of the conversation.
Come down. Food is free when you're here. And we especially like to connect with anyone who's in the downtown area, because it's an easy walk. I think, Susan, you even mentioned that parking wasn't an issue. Yeah, so I know downtown gets that rap that, it's paid parking. There are still plenty of places to park right now in the neighborhood and things. So we're definitely want to grow our attendance and have this community opportunity to get to know each other. Can't do that. Join us online. We Zoom it, so you can join the Zoom and have a conversation with us, even if you're not on site.
Perfect. And yeah, to the parking point, there is so much parking right next to Dry Fly. Like, if you can't find a parking spot, we have other issues to talk about. Parking's easy. Zane, anybody out at your table that we need to shout out before we wrap this up?
No, I think everybody, again, grateful for everyone out here's participation. We've had some great conversation, and yeah, we really appreciate Dry Fly, and the way the setup we have is working really well. And this conversation was great. Just inspiring us all to give back where we can and know that, even a little bit is enough.
Excellent. Susan, thank you so much for being here. This is awesome. We'll have to continue the conversation, and that's everybody's welcome. Stick around. 20% off downstairs. If you want to order any food, let them know that you're with us, and they'll give you 20% off. And then if you wait long enough, from 4 to 6, happy hour, 50% off drinks and apps. Hang out, get to know each other, exchange phone numbers and emails, and all of the good stuff you guys know how to do. And we will see y'all next week.
Thank you so much.